Hey, what's up, J4K? Welcome back to another video. I am going to, well, first, I know I'm late, but I have a good reason. These are my notes from this weekend, okay? So I have a reason that I'm late. um, but I'm back now. So today, what we're going to do is we are going to follow Detective Thomas Doulas. Sergeant Thomas Doulas. Okay? And we're going to just figure out what he uncovered and try to figure out where these detectives went wrong and how this cover up actually happened. All right? So, the first thing I want to say is after I looked at everything that he did, I was reminded that Rosemont is just a public safety department. They're not a bona fide police department. They actually had no business taking on this case. They should have handled, they should have handed this case over to the Chicago Police Department. Um, hold on. Hold on. The Chicago Police Department doesn't have a good history of actually solving cases, but I feel like Chicago, um, they don't they don't have anything to hide. Chicago will tell you, yeah, 4,000 people got shot. Like, we don't know who did it. Like, they're it is what it is in Chicago, right? They don't have all that pressure to hide a murder, to save face, to look good for visitors, et cetera, right? Everybody kind of accepts that at this point, Chicago has a reputation, especially after Spike Lee came out with that movie Chirac. Like, it's common knowledge. DJ Academics also did a channel, The War on Chirac, very, very, very popular. So I just feel like had it been handled in Chicago, we wouldn't be in the position that we're in today. Um, Now, the reason why I say they weren't equipped is because when I was looking at what Detective Thomas Doulas did, he actually had to go out into Chicago and knock on doors and collect statements. But he needed Chicago police tactical officers to escort him. Now, Thomas Doulas Sargent gets paid over $130,000 a year. And he did not feel comfortable going to knock on doors to ask questions about what supposedly was an accident, right? So that just got me to thinking, like, um, this Rosemont Safety Department, like, they just weren't ready to deal with this level of gang violence, right? So I looked up what these tactical officers are and what they do. I'm going to show you. Give me 1 second. So this is from the Illinois Tactical Officers Association. They have like a conference where they get together and they do drills and I guess sell their firearms and stuff like that. But this just gives you an idea of who showed up at their doorsteps to ask these questions. So they have military grade equipment. They're the ones with the scopes. They're the ones with the night vision. They're the ones with the explosives. They're the ones that kick in doors. They're the ones that control crowds. And this is what Rosemont doesn't have. They don't have any tactical officers. Okay, so these are the guys that go after violent criminals. Okay. Having them present and calling on them for assistance is proof that nobody at the Rosemont Public Safety Department is equipped, prepared, or trained to go after violent criminals. Okay? So, it's also weird that they declined assistance from the federal government, knowing that they were just not equipped to do this type of investigation. Okay? But Sergeant Thomas Doulas, he tried, and I'm going to show you what he did. So I put what he did in chronological order, and we're going to start from the top. So Kanika was found on September 10th, 2017 in the freezer of the Crown Plaza in Rosemont. Sergeant Thomas Doulas, he stepped on the scene September 12th, 2017. So 2 days later, he shows up and he starts his investigation at the hotel. Okay? So on the 12th, he says he spoke to the general manager and the senior VP of asset management for F&F Realty. At the time, they provided us with the credit card user activity, the folio for room 926, that's just like their invoice, a printout of hourly employees from September the 8th through September the 10th. Okay, so that's what he received. I highlighted, we requested a copy of the hotel's internal reports. So those would be like incident reports. And I never thought about that. I think we should do a Freedom of Information Act to see if we can get them, because all security personnel, monitors, people at the front desk that, you know, manage community settings or property, they all have some type of system for internal reports or incident reports or critical reports, whatever you call them at your job, right? So it's interesting that they didn't just give that to him. He had to ask for that. Now, nowhere else in the report does he bring up these internal reports again, and I have not seen any internal reports in the Rosemont files, so it's not clear whether he ever received them and they just didn't share them to the public, or if he never got his hands on those internal reports. But the first thing he did on September the 12th was he asked for the internal reports, which I think is very, very important. Okay, it says, we were advised that the printout of hourly employees received did not include the names of managers that were working that day, as managers do not punch in. They identified 3 possible employees who may have worked on the floor. Blank and blank were identified as possibly needing a translator to speak. So it's also not clear if they ever got the translator that they needed to speak with these 2 employees. Okay? So I thought that was interesting. On the same day, he actually follows up with one of the employees that the manager and senior vice president of asset management just told him was up on the 9th floor. Okay, so that employee is there. He goes to talk to him. The employee tells him that he did not work on the 9th floor. So it says he stated that he did not work on the 9th floor, as was told to detectives by the other hotel management. So immediately, day one, we're already having conflicts. Your manager just said you were assigned to the ninth floor. They go talk to him. He says, no, I wasn't. Okay. So that was the 12th. That was his first day of work on this case. Now, the third. Okay, I'm back. I got interrupted, but I figured out how to edit some videos so you won't see that. But we're going to continue in chronological order following Sergeant Thomas Doulas, okay? So on September the 13th, he spent looking for addresses in the database. He looked for Neff, Killa, Mike, Lil Ty. He put a bulletin out for Smacks, Peas, Wonky, Quan, Pucky, Tania. And then on the 14th is when he actually hit the concrete and started knocking on doors. So the first person that he catches up with is Neff, okay? Now, I'm just going to read excerpts because it'll be too much if I read everything because he interviewed too many people, okay? So it says, Chicago Police Department tactical officers stood by while we conducted the interview. And those are the officers that I was talking to you about before. So his very first interview in Chicago, he wanted to have tactical officers there to protect himself, okay? Mind you, he doesn't have an arrest warrant for anybody. He doesn't have authorization to kick in any doors, okay? The only thing the tactical officers would do is be on the defense in case somebody came at him, okay? So, Sergeant Mike Doulas says he stated that there were approximately 15 people in the room at the time that the girls came back and Kanika was out of the room. When asked if he could remember anything else, he stated that he remembered that the group was complaining that they were told by the hotel staff that if they lost their parking ticket, it would cost $200 to exit the parking lot due to the fee. So Neff only wants to get himself out of Irene's live video. He only wants to clear his name from that $200 conversation. Okay, he has nothing to offer except, oh, that $200 conversation was about parking. Okay, because by this time it's 3 days later and that video has gone viral. Millions and millions of people have viewed it. They're getting threats online, etc., right? Now, what's also interesting about Neff's conversation with the sergeant is he lied. They all lied. But he lied and he told detectives that a female dropped them off at the party. Now, the detective put undisclosed female. Like he wouldn't give up any information on who this phantom ghost female was, okay? Now, we're going to find out later that he was in the car with Mike, Lil Ty, and Killa. But nobody wants to put theirself in the car with Killa. Neff is the first one that they interview that was in this particular car, but nobody wants to associate with Killa, okay? Neff says he got there on his own with a female. Little Ty says some girl named Cece dropped him off. Mike says it was just me, Neff, and Little Ty. He does not want Killa in his car. Killa is the one that puts himself in Mike's car with the other three. Okay, so I thought that was very, very interesting when you compared all the narratives. Nobody wants to put themselves in the car with Killa. Okay, Killa put himself in Mike's car. All right. So I just thought that because they're all sticking together, but you could see that they're distancing themselves from him. And just so you remember, Killa is the one and the white t-shirt in Zach TV's interview. So if you haven't seen my video on that, you need to go back and watch that, my review of Zach TV's interview, and go back and watch the original interview, okay? Excuse me. So on that same day, we're at September 14th now. The same day that he interviews Neff, he tries to interview Mike. Mike's not home. He tries to go to the liquor store and get the surveillance video. He's too late. The surveillance video only lasts for 5 days. Okay. He tries to find Killa. Killa's also not answering. Another very, very interesting thing that he did, because remember, this is his very first day out into the field, right? So on his very first day, he pops up on a Crowne Plaza employee at their home with tactical officers. Let me read an excerpt of that statement. It says, Sergeant Doulas and I, Detective Kolitos, conducted a door knock in an attempt to interview Crowne Plaza Chicago employee. Later in the evening at approximately 17:45, this is military time, Sergeant Doulas and I were asked to return to the apartment building in an attempt to speak with Blake. So they went to this man's home twice, okay? We were met at the address by Chicago Police Department 22nd District Tactical Officers Ponce and Stork. We conducted a second door knock with negative results. CPD tactical officers stated that they would stay in the area and try to call us if they saw any lights on in the apartment. We then cleared the scene for other assignments. So, now, somebody in my comments made a good statement. They said, why all the investigation if this was just an accident? And it didn't really hit me at first, but it's actually a very powerful statement if you think about it. If all they had seen in the hotel was Kanika Jenkins walking by herself the entire time, walking herself into the kitchen, why are they bringing tactical officers to the homes of the Crowne Plaza employees? That makes you think, right? They were not addressing this like an accident, okay? They had some type of evidence that a crime was committed, and they treated every single one of these people like a suspect, as they should, okay? So I thought that was very interesting that on day one, the same day that they're looking for Killa, they're looking for Mike, they're looking for Neff, they're also looking for this Crowne Plaza employee. Now, this is the only statement that I see where they tried to pop up at an employee's house with these tactical officers, okay? It's not clear to me if they ever caught up with this employee, or what the outcome of that was. But as you can see in the statement, they went to this person's house twice on September the 14th with these tactical officers, and the tactical officers told the detective they can leave and that they would stay in the area to see if there was any lights on in the house. Very, very, very telling. Okay, so now let's see. So Mike's not home. They're too late. Can't find Killa. So now they're on the 15th. So that was a day. Okay, that was his first day in the field. He did all that. This officer's a little bit better than the other one, Anthony Cusinello. Okay, he's actually trying to do his job. Okay. So on the 15th, this statement is from either Kavina or Nini. This statement is the first time that this detective, Sergeant Thomas Doulas, is going to hear about a party, quote, out west. Everybody calls this party out west, whatever out west means, okay? Um, but this is the first time that he's going to hear about this party, and he's going to keep hearing about this party. Almost everybody at the party at Rosemont came from this party, quote, out west, okay? So these are the girls. They were in a black SUV. They all said they were basically there for Ty. He sounds like he's their leader. Okay, they're all following him. They're all trying to meet up with him. And they're all his people. They all know him. And he's the one that redirected the party to Rosemont. Okay? Now, another interesting thing about this black SUV full of girls, about 5 or 6 girls, none of them claim to know Kanika. Everybody else says we all grew up together, we all party together, all the time this happens, but this group of girls say they have no knowledge of who she is, never seen her before. They say they weren't paying attention to her, and they say they left before she went missing. Okay, and these are girls, you know, they stick to the story, okay? They're not fucking around. So they all say they were all gone before she went missing, okay? Now, they also talk to, let me see. Okay, in this car was Kanika, Judy, Kavana, Nene, and they picked up a girl named Jazz. Okay, and yeah, okay. So, this one of the girls from the car, she also reveals that there was a second car, a white pickup truck, and she says in this pickup truck was Ty, Peas, some other girl, and 2 unknown guys. Okay, so this is the first time that the detective's going to hear about this white pickup truck and how Peas actually got to the party. Now, the same day, he meets Kanika. Now, there's no conspiracy theory. Kanika is her middle name, okay? And she doesn't spell it the same way. Now, Kanika is very interesting because Kanika is the first one whose story is completely different from the other girl's story, okay? Now, all the other girls, I guess they probably corroborated, but their story's all the same. Kanika's story is a little bit different. So I'm going to read you some excerpts. It says, the 9th District Chicago Police Department tactical officer stood by in the area. She stated that she works for a security company called Titan. She stated that she met up with others at her cousin's apartment before going to another party on the west side of Chicago to pick up Jasmine. When they got back into Blank's vehicle, she stated that she had no idea where they were going to go at first. She was told that they were going to a hotel party while they were on the way. She confirmed that they arrived at the hotel between 1:45 and 2 a.m. She was confident that the group left the Crowne Plaza by 3:15. When asked how many people were in the room at this time, she stated that there were 3 girls, including Kanika, and 4 boys she did not know. So, this detective has a lot to pick apart, right? He just found out 2 days ago there was 15 people in the room. Now, this Kanika is telling him that there were 3 girls, including Kanika, and 4 boys that she did not know when she left that room. Okay? Another interesting thing. Quan, Pucky, and Wonky, they're not Kanika's cousins. Okay? So let's just stop there. They're not real cousins, okay? They put themselves in the room when Kanika went missing. Okay? Those are the BDs. Those guys didn't come from the party out west. So it makes sense that if she was at that party, she wouldn't know them. Okay? Because they're not from the out west party. They're not from Ty's crew. Okay? They're from a whole different gang. So let's not rule them out. Okay? Because something up with them as well. So that's what those are my notes about her. Just that her story is completely different. Nobody else was that specific about how many people were left in the room with Kanika. So that was on September the 15th. Now, when they interviewed her, they also interviewed another girl that was with her, and I'm not sure exactly who she was, but she also puts herself as one of the girls in the black SUV. She came from the party out west, and she, again, is one of the people that says she didn't know Kanika at all. So then he talks to another female from the SUV group, and she again reports that Kanika was still in the room when they left. So all the girls in the SUV are saying Kanika was there when they left, okay? So now Detective Doulas meets with Sergeant Doulas meets with Detective Donald, and, oh, okay. So that was my note, okay. So Sergeant Doulas and Detective Donald, they're both in the field in a nearby area. So while Sergeant was talking to Dean, Detective Donald was talking to Irene's friend. Irene's friend's statement is a little bit interesting because she's the only one that says Kanika left by herself. She says Kanika left by herself and her two friends left after her. Okay? So just to give you a little indication as to what their position is, where they stand, and what type of lies they're telling, okay? So that's what Irene's friend tells Detective Donald. Now, Sergeant Doulas, he goes and talks to Dean. Dean was also out west. He says he was driven by an undisclosed person. And he also puts himself in the room when Kanika went missing. Okay, says he did, quote, didn't think anything of it. And a lot of these statements from the vice lords are going to use the same exact language. Sergeant Thomas Doulas is only writing summaries, okay? He's not writing verbatim. But he'd heard this story so many times, he started putting in quotation marks, didn't think anything of it, okay? Because he probably also felt like that was a clue and that they were basically collaborating on a story to tell, right? Because if it was a natural story, they would be using their regular language and they wouldn't be repeating the exact same verbiage. Okay, so Dean Dean is one of the first ones that says didn't think anything of it. So then after that, we're still at September the 15th. He tries to locate Peace. He sends another bulletin out. Let me see. He sends another bulletin out on the 15th. And then he takes a few days off. I need to turn on my fan. I'm sorry. I hope it doesn't distract anything. It can be kind of loud. I'll turn it off in a minute. But I don't have any air. So he says that so he takes off a few days, okay? He stopped working on the 15th. He comes back to work on the 18th. So when he comes back to work on the 18th, he's back where he picked up. He's putting out another bulletin regarding Peace. He put this one out on the 15th when he left work. So he comes back to work and he puts another bulletin out for peace. Okay, and this time he's including he's trying to get some type of facial recognition through mug shots, through the Secretary of State databases. Okay, so now he's, you know, escalating up the ladder to try to find information on him. The same day, he's basically logging the people that he has already identified where they live. The following day, on the 19th, he finally got cooperation, is what I put. So on the 19th, he talks to somebody, and I don't know who the original person was because this says supplemental report. So there's an original report somewhere, I don't know where, but this is their supplemental report. It says blank agreed to having her phone forensically examined and signed the consent form. She also provided the passcode. We took possession of the phone and turned it over to Arlington Heights Police Department for a forensic examination. Blank was able to provide additional information about Uncle John Cocky. Uncle John, she provided an area of residence and showed his Facebook account name with his URL, also provided information on the individual who goes by the name Cocky. She described him as a black male subject in his late 20s who wore a white shirt at the party. His Facebook name is blank with the URL of blank. In addition, she provided phone numbers for Pease and Winky. She stated that Wayne is blank and approximately 19 years old and a black male subject. I informed Blank she would be notified when the phone examination was complete. I then obtained her mother's name and phone number. Blank advised that we may contact her mother and turn over possession of the phone to her when complete if she was, quote, not around when finished. So this girl is smart. She just drops a bomb and says, hey, I'll be out before the smoke clears. If you want to get that phone back, you can give it to my mama. Okay? So I like her. This is my girl. She's trying to help. So this is the first person that's trying to actually help detectives solve this case. And again, back to the original question, all this for accident? Couldn't be. Couldn't be. Why would she feel so compelled to support the investigation and to provide this level of information if she felt that Kanika walked herself in that room and nobody did anything to her? Okay? So that was on the 19th. After that, he talks to P's baby mama. She doesn't say much. She basically says that Pease goes from house to house, and she also provided a phone number, but remember, he just got the phone number from the other girl, so he really didn't need it. Same day, after he talks to Pease baby mama, he catches up with Mike. Now, Mike says that he left before Kanika went missing, and that when he left, Kanika was drunk. Okay. So we know that's not true, but that's what he said. And Mike, again, let me remind you, says that only Neff and Little Ty were in the car, that he only drove them. All right. Let me read an excerpt of his statement. He said, after leaving the hotel, Tate proceeded to the city with friends, including Neff and Little Ty. Blank was unable to provide contact information for others at the party. However, he said he would reach out to contact them, to contact us for interviews. Okay? So that was Mike. Now, right after he talks to Mike, he talks to Killa. Same day. Killa says, this is in the statement, quote, he arrived to the party with Neff, Little Ty, and Mike. stated that they left the party prior to 3 a.m., stated he did not have contact information, but would attempt to make contact with other subjects to contact us for an interview. So this is the only part where I have a problem with this investigation. You just talked to somebody who told you he had 2 people in the car. Right after you talk to him, the other guy says, no, I rode with him too. Like, what are you going to do about that? Isn't that a crime to be lying to detectives? Somebody is not telling the truth. That doesn't make any sense. Mike saying he left before Kanika went missing. If Killer was in the car with him, how did Killer end up looking for Kanika? Like, Killer's story is all over the place. Killer is in the Zach TV interview saying he went floor to floor, door to door, looking for her. And he tells the police that basically she was still there when he left. Let me read Killer's statement. Let me read his statement, because I don't know why people believe him. And if you believe him, you got to decide which story do you believe, because he told 2 totally different stories. Okay, I don't want to read the whole thing because we have a lot to go through today. Let me turn this off. I don't want you guys to not be able to hear me. Oh yeah, you know what? I got a new I have a new microphone. It just has to charge. But we're gonna start using that. Okay. So this is Killer. I'm gonna skip a few parts. But this is on the 19th, again, right after he talked to Mike, that Sergeant A. Doulas made contact with Killer through the previous interviewed subject. Stated the following in summary, not verbatim: traveled to the party at Crown Plaza in Rosemont, room 926, during the early morning of September 9th, believed to have gotten to the hotel around 1:30. He arrived to the party with Neff, Lil Ty, and Mike. The party was for blank and blank's birthday. He believed the girls got the room. Says he's known Kanika for a couple of years. Okay. After leaving the hotel, he was driven to Chicago and dropped off at his residence on blank. Blank stated they left the party prior to 3 a.m. Jenkins was still in the room and appeared intoxicated but social with friends. Killer said there was nothing out of the ordinary that was taking place, and it was nothing different from the other times that we kicked it. So he told detectives that Jenkins was still in the room when he left. Mike says she was still in the room. She was drunk when they left. Killer told Zach TV, and that's why you have to go watch that interview. He sat up there and said he went door to door, floor to floor, knocking, looking for her. They talked about how security wouldn't help them, how she was such a good friend, how, nobody would ever do anything to her. Why lie? Why are you lying? Did you leave before she went missing, or did she go missing and you went and looked for her? Those are 2 totally different things. If you go on that Zach TV interview, it frustrates me. People are like, I believe them. I believe these kids. I believe that sounds good. People are trolling me. They're putting in my comments, it was just an accident. All right. We're going to get through this, you guys. So Where are we? Okay, so that's after killing. Now, again, I want to just remind you all that Killer puts himself in the car with Mike, Neff, and Little Ty. They all say they didn't come or leave with him. Mike will only claim Neff and Little Ty. Ty says, "Fuck y'all. I was with a bitch." And Neff says the same thing. It was some undisclosed female. Okay. So none of these stories are adding up. What's the big deal if it was an accident who you came to the party with? Why can't you just tell the truth about that? Something happened, you guys. Okay, all the way around. And we're gonna get back to the cover up, but something happened. Something is up with these people. They're not telling the truth. Irene's friend said she left by herself. Only statement that says she left by herself. All right. So so after he talks to Killa on the same day, he talks to the brothers. No, he just talks to Quan that same day. Quan, I put, is in the fake cousins group. I have cousins. I have boy cousins. I can't imagine anything happening to me with my boy cousins around. How? How is anybody gonna touch me with my 3 of my cousins? They're not her real cousins, okay? And I feel they did that to throw people off, to just throw people off the trail, okay? So that's it for the 19th. Now on the 20th, they picked back up where they left off. So first they talked to Quan on the 19th, then they talked to Pucky and Wonky on the 20th, and again, remember, they put themselves in the room when Kenneka Jenkins went missing. So they're admitting to being there, okay? Now they're at the 21st. They finally talked to Pease. Remember, this is the one that he's been trying to locate since day one, okay? So on the 21st, he finally talks to Pease. I want to remind you all that there is a document in the file stating that Pease would be charged pending the death investigation of Kenneka Jenkins. Okay. Pease deactivated his Facebook page. There is a document where Facebook had a court order to bring whatever he had posted on Facebook to court. Okay? So Pease admits he was in the white pickup truck. He says he went with Damon, whatever. But I do believe that whatever charges Pease was going to be brought up on, I think that it had something to do with that phone that Sergeant Doulas collected from the girl. Because she was showing Facebook URLs, etc., etc. Maybe she had some screenshots before Pease deleted it or something. But they had some type of evidence on him to bring it in front of a, quote, grand jury. All right? And that's due to Detective Thomas Doulas's, Sergeant Thomas Doulas's work. So that's why I don't have as much smoke for him as Detective Anthony. Okay. So that's on the 21st. I guess that was enough for one day. He probably had a lot of work to do. Because after he talked, Pease was the only person he talked to on the 21st. So after he talked to him, he probably said, I have to go file my charges. I'm about to do this paperwork. We about to wrap this shit up. Baby boy is about to go to jail, okay? Because that's all he did on the 21st was just talk to Pease. Now, on the 22nd, he has an interview with Cocky. Now, Cocky is currently in Green Bay, Wisconsin, where he resides. He says he keeps coming to Chicago, blah, 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 blah. And he drove his group in a Chrysler Town and Country van. Now, one interesting thing that I looked up, let me see if I can find it. Hmm. I don't know if I'm going to be able to find it. There it is. Okay. So, this is just a little article about how killers cover up their crimes. And I thought there was just a little interesting excerpt in here. Okay. It says, after committing a, excuse me. Let me see. It says, after committing a crime, murderers often keep on the move. Some of the most difficult offenders to locate are those who commit a crime in one jurisdiction and then quickly move to another jurisdiction. This reduces their chances of being swept up in a routine investigation, pulled in for a lesser crime or connected to similar ones. Okay? And I thought that was very powerful. And it kind of fits cocky. To go down to Rosemont, be involved in something like this, and then run back to Wisconsin and the police can only talk to you on the phone. He says he didn't know Kanika was missing until the next day. All right. So that's the 22nd. That same day, he talks to another vice lord who says he was with Hollywood, Smack, Sticks, and these guys came from the party on the west side, right? He was the one that was having this supposed dice game that was by the front entrance of the door. And he also, he's putting himself in the room when Kanika went missing. So Pucky, Quan, and Wonky, they put themselves in the room. And then this van with Cocky and the other vice lords, Hollywood, Sticks, Max, they put themselves in the room when Kanika Jenkins went missing. Okay? So I think that's very important. On the same day, the detectives try to follow up with a Jonathan Johnson, Sticks, and Uncle John. There's no statements after the 22nd, so it's not clear whether he didn't follow up or maybe he was off the case or what happened with that. But he was looking for them on the 22nd. He has no reports after. And again, these statements are important because they were in the room. So we also don't have statements from Hollywood and Smacks. So it's a total of Jonathan Johnson, Sticks, Uncle John, Hollywood, and Smacks. Okay? Now, if you look at the photos of them coming in, these are the guys that came in with the hoodies on. Okay? And one of them had a white shirt, and it looked like he had a gun in the white shirt. He was holding it like this. You could see something under his shirt. Okay. And I'm going to drop the link to this website that I found. I've had been found it, but it's actually, they don't update it, but it's actually good for pictures and stuff like that, and just to kind of group people how they should be grouped. So I'm going to share a link to that website so you can see the picture. And I'm also going to share a link to the Zach TV interview because you really need to watch that again. So his work ends officially on the 25th. September 25th is when Sergeant Thomas Doulas makes contact with more tactical officers, advising them of some bulletins that he's about to send them, okay? So that was the end of his investigation. Now, why I'm not mad at him is because September 25th was the end of his investigation. According to the documents, Peace had his court date for the 27th. So I feel Thomas Doulas thought, I'm done. I did everything. I done knocked on the door. I done got the tactical officers. I done interviewed all these people. He feels like he figured out what's going on, and probably doesn't think they're going to call this an accident, right? He's ready to move forward with pursuing charges against Pease, okay? So Pease's court date was set for September 22nd, which is like 2 days after Sergeant Thomas Doulas ended his work and his interviews, right? So, and of course, since he's the one that interviewed Pease, he had a lot to do with whatever charges they were bringing up against him. He's also the one that interviewed Pease's baby mama, so you really don't know what else he found out because these things are summary, not verbatim. And let's see. Another good thing about this cop, he did have the good sense to go to the liquor store. He was just too late. I feel like 5 days of saving video, like who would have thought that? Like that's such a short amount of time. I would think that 30 days would be more of a standard. And okay, 2 more thoughts. So that's pretty much the end of his investigative work, but 2 more thoughts. I want to reiterate how many times in these reports people are saying, I didn't think anything of it. I didn't think anything of it. She was missing. I didn't think anything of it. Now, Irene, when she talked to Zach TV, there's even a part where she says, well, yeah, I laughed because I didn't think anything of it like that. Killer even says, even though he says, we went door to door, we knocked this and that, he also slips in, yeah, I didn't think anything of it. She could have been with a dude or somebody else. Okay? So this is a gang. They all travel and work together. Just like they all came from one party out west to the Rosemont party, they didn't stop. After the Rosemont party, there was another party. That was one of my first videos that they went to that night. And they've probably been hanging out ever since, right? And so by the time detectives got to them, the story was, didn't think anything of it. Didn't think anything of it. Nobody says to the detectives, I looked for her. All those people running around the hotel in the video, nobody says, well, except for, you know, Monique or whatever and them. But other than that, than the crew that she came with, nobody is saying, I looked for her. Even though we see Killer all downstairs, he never told detectives that he was concerned and looked for her. So that tells me it's possible, and I've always felt this, that they were never looking for her. When you see Monifa creeping down there and doing this and that, they were never looking for her. Okay. Um, what they were doing was um, moving things around and probably um, getting her phone. Because remember how her hands ended up like this. Okay? Just a thought. Another thought. Um, all over these reports, they talk about ecstasy, the pills. All over. Some of them admit to doing ecstasy, some of them don't admit to doing ecstasy. The detectives also asked, was there any sexual play going on? They all say, no, 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 no. It wasn't that type of party. It wasn't that type of party. Well, why are you doing ecstasy? How does that even make sense? Who goes to a hotel with a bunch of guys, chooses to pop ecstasy, and then what, you don't want to have sex? Like, that just does not make sense to me. If you're a guy, you walk into a hotel, a bedroom, there's a bunch of cute girls there, you're popping ecstasy pills, and you're telling me you did not want to have sex? And these girls already have babies? Oh, they were all in the States. I had to get home to my kids. I had to pick up my child. I left early. 3 a.m., right? I left early. um, so I just thought that was also a strange dynamic that they're all claiming nothing happened. Then, of course, we see in the text messages they're talking about somebody's dick is little. That's all of the messages. So, just a lot of conflicting statements, a lot of mess. We're gonna keep going. We're gonna profile another detective next, but this was Sergeant Thomas Doulas. This was his investigation from beginning to end. I hope you like the report, and I will be back soon.